Hey Arthur, how you doing today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. Thank you for hopping on with me this morning. I know you got a lot of stuff to do, so I appreciate you carving out some time for us.
Yeah, just unloaded down here in Henderson, Kentucky. So,
Nice. What were you hauling?
the wire rod, coiled wire rod.
Very
It's,
cool.
I thought it'd be warmer down here, but it's 26 degrees down here. So yeah,
Is it really? That's
yeah,
crazy.
cool
It is
down here.
usually warm. It's usually
You
warm up there.
got
Interesting.
60 yesterday and 20 today, or 26 or whatever it is. So
That is wild. Yeah, there's a cold front coming through, I think, so that might have something to do with it. But
yeah,
anyway, yeah, I appreciate you hopping on. I really just wanted to hear about, your experience as an owner operator. I know that, you're with Carrier One now, obviously, but what got you to trucking? Like, was it family? Was it, you watched Smokey and the Bandit one too many times? Like what did it for you?
uh, well, I grew up on a farm, and I'd always watched trucks coming in, and as I got older. Uh, for me, it was going to be a while before I could inherit the farm. It was a family business. So I thought, well, let's give this a shot. And 26 years later, here I am. So,
Yeah, did you start? So I assume like you started as a company driver, maybe
yeah,
somewhere.
yeah, I started as a company driver for 3 years. And then
Okay,
there was an owner operator. He had a beautiful 97 Peterbilt with it was an East covered wagon at the time. And I had asked him about it. And he said, if you want to drive it for me, you can drive it. And when time comes, you can buy it from me. So I drove for him
nice,
for 2.5 years, and then the company I was leased to, they helped me with the down payment, and then yeah, it was my
very
it
nice,
was
cool.
my
So
introduction.
you've been owner operating for how long, would you say then?
1999, so whatever that is, 23 years,
22, 22,
22,
23,
23,
23 this year, I guess. Yeah.
yeah, 23 this year. So yeah,
Very cool. Well, so you've done it at more companies than just Carrier One or just Carrier One?
well the first one they were out of Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, Trying to think the second one. Oh, then I was with yeah, I think where it was. Oh, there was a company out of Valparaiso. I was with them for 14 years, so I was with them for a long time.
Yeah,
And
that is a
then,
long time.
they got to the point where they had really good rates, and their rates started to fall off, and that's usually why I quit a company is their rates start to fall off.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of something I was going to ask you. Like, since you've been doing it and you've done it at a couple different places, like, and obviously you don't need to name names or anything like that, but like, what are some of the, a lot of drivers are looking to like make the switch, you know what I mean? Lease purchase or just buy their own truck. Like, what are some of the things they should look out for or like pains, that come with owner operating?
I've heard a lot of horror stories. And the main thing you got to do your research at the company you're going to.
Yeah.
Uh, that's the main thing.
Yeah.
Will they fit for you? And that's the best advice I guess to give to somebody. Is looking for a company, make sure that they'll fit for you. Because they'll tell you, find some drivers that have actually worked for the company.
Hmm.
Because the company will tell you anything to get you in the door, then they'll switch. That's how I ended up at Carrier One. There was a company that they promised everything that Carrier One actually delivered, and so
Yeah. Isn't that funny? You heard it all and you're like, wow, this sounds like a great deal. And then you're like, oh, I found a company who actually does it. That's, yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
And you're absolutely right. I mean, every person, not just drivers, but like every company offers something different, and I'm not saying they're all equal, but like everyone will have a different fit. You know what I mean? Some things are more important to other people, like home time or
Right.
whatever. So it's a great note to talk to a driver if you can find one. Um, that's
Yeah,
awesome. Go ahead.
yeah. Before I had watched Carrier One on Facebook for probably a year or so. I actually met. I was hauling railroad wheels at the time, and I actually met one of the guys. I was kind of surprised to see a Carrier One driver pull in there, and he pulled in, and I said, "Is it really good there?" And he told me what you could make, and I'm like, and I think he was a lease purchase. I said,
Okay.
"Man, if you can clear that after all your truck payments, that sounds like a pretty good deal."
Yeah, right. I
It,
I
it,
I always think that. Like I see like I mean, I write a lot of the listings too as well, and I'm like, I see all the deals and I'm like, they can make their payments and they take home money. You know what I mean? You're not just like in a lurch for all this time. Like you're taking
Right.
home money as well. So
Right. Yeah,
yeah.
I couldn't tell you about the lease purchase because I don't know a whole lot about that. I know
Right.
I had a truck that blew up last year, and I was looking into the payments. Like, wow, these guys have to make some serious money to make those
Yeah.
payments.
Right.
But,
Right. And they're nice trucks. So,
yeah,
so
they are. Yeah, and they're real expensive. But,
yeah.
I'm just kind of paging through the truck paper the last couple of days, and I pity anybody else that buy one right now because they have like literally doubled the price. Wow.
I did hear that. I did hear that some
220
companies are
220,000 for a new truck. I'm like, wow.
yes.
That was a customized truck with a 120-inch sleeper when I was starting this. I was like, I would not want to do that right now.
I know. A lot of companies are, not just like owner ops, but like companies as a whole are kind of on either side of the railroad tracks. You know what I mean? Like, do we buy a bunch of trucks right now because we need them, or do we just like let it sit for a minute? I mean, it's an interesting time in the truck market for sure.
I'm glad all my stuff is paid for right now because I never really wanted to consider rebuilding a truck, the engine and everything. But that last truck I did last year, I've already been through it. So I was like, okay, if I have to do this one again, like,
Yeah. So you rebuilt your truck last year.
not this one. But
Oh, okay.
it was 2019 when I actually rebuilt it, and it spun a bearing when I had about 2 months left on the warranty. Got to give the company credit; they actually stood behind the warranty. They paid me for the truck, and my mechanic hadn't had this one, and it's the oldest truck I've ever had, but hey, it's paid for. So
Yeah, and it works out. You stay profitable. You keep moving. That's all you're worried
really,
about. Yeah.
it's a new experience for me getting used to making the kind of money we're making and actually not having to put it out for a truck payment. So it's
Yeah.
for me, it's like the perfect storm. The kids have grown up, everything's paid for. I've done all the stupid stuff with money, and now I can just profit for myself. I can
Yeah.
keep the motor in the truck. So
Empty nester, just keeping it pushing. I like it. I like it. Well, we talked a little bit before this interview, just kind of setting it up. And you mentioned to me that, Carrier One is your favorite company that you've been at. Tell me something that they do or some of the things that they do that make the owner operating experience for you, like uh, anything specific or just in general.
well, when I walked in the door, they were like, "We don't have guys that just walk in off the street," because at the time I was considering selling everything, and I went next. There's a company right next door to them, and I was actually going to them. And on the way, the guy I had called said, "I'm on the way," and the guy said, "Yeah, we don't have any interviews for 2 weeks." I'm like, "Well, I'm just about there." So I didn't know Carrier One had moved. Like, well, I'm here. Might as well walk in the door. So. And the recruiter at the time said, "We don't have guys that just walk in off the door." And he was very realistic. He said, "I could tell you, at the time, he said I could tell you could make 7, 8, 9,000 a week." He said that's not normal. He said, at the time when I hired in, 4 to 5, 6,000 was normal.
Yeah.
And then he showed me some of their fuel discounts. I'm like, wow, that's pretty good. And
Yeah.
I'd never been with a company that could give me fuel discounts. And so, he said, I just remember he said, what do you need from us? And I says, lots of freight. And he said, you don't need any
Yeah.
equipment or anything? And I said, dude, I've been doing this 20 some years and I don't need any equipment. I have tell me what you need from me and I probably have it.
Yeah. Well, because I know they can provide a lot of equipment. You know what I mean? Like especially for the lease purchase drivers. But you
Right.
mentioned, yeah, go ahead.
If you're looking to get into it, the prices that they have on their package of stuff is actually a pretty good deal. Like if you had to go out and buy, I haven't looked at the time, but at the time you could buy everything you needed to haul flatbed for 2,300. I thought that was a pretty good deal.
Right, like the
All at
trailers
one
and
spot.
everything.
Yeah, the chains,
Yeah,
binders, I mean everything you need they give you. So
yeah,
it's right there on. They have a warehouse in sight right there, and it's yeah, you could probably buy one or two things cheaper someplace else, but overall the package I thought was a pretty good deal.
and it's so convenient because you're getting exactly what you need. You're not like, oh, I forgot.
Right,
Like especially new to
right.
it. Like, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
I probably carry more equipment than most guys do, but hey,
Hey, you're
it,
prepared.
it's better to have it and not need it then you'll be sitting there. Well, this is like a ridiculous paying load, and I can't do it because I got to go get the equipment. So
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so far I haven't. They haven't offered me a load that I haven't had the equipment for yet. So
Yeah, nothing's gonna catch you by surprise.
just
You
a
got it
little
all.
tip: guys might not like to haul around 8-foot tarps, but I carry 8-foot tarps with me.
Yeah.
And when you're down south, man, all you have is 8-foot lumber. It's nice to have it because it's a load out. So
Yeah.
and,
Absolutely.
and rates have just, I'd have to say rates have about doubled since when I started here. So it's just if you're in a situation to do it right now is a fantastic time to be an owner operator because
Yeah.
I have never seen rates like this ever.
I've been watching, all the rates, like drive-in, flatbed. I watch them all, and drive-in, flatbed is definitely up right now.
Oh yeah,
Um,
yeah.
it's really cool to watch it happen.
It is. Yeah,
Yeah.
what I think what started this whole interview thing is we use a fuel book for the fuel discount,
Yeah.
and if they give me a load, like right now, I'm getting ready to go to Mansfield, Ohio, and I'll look. We use was it Love's, Petro, and TA, and I'll compare them all. And sometimes you just look for the best one on the way. Or like I did yesterday, there was the better fuel discount was up north, but I had to get out of Chicago, and I didn't want to stop in Wisconsin because 15 minutes can make a huge difference going through Chicago. So, but overall, man, the fuel discount is, and they give you the whole thing. The company I was
Yeah.
with before this one, I used to buy all of my fuel at like Speedway or the Independent, like Speedway or Quick Trip or stuff like that.
Yeah.
And because the major ones were always 20, 30, 40 cents higher.
Sure.
Well, they said, we'll give you a 15-cent discount. I'm like, are you nuts? Just keep your card. I'm not going to use it. I never did.
Yeah.
And so then I come to Carrier One. It was the exact same card. And the fuel discount was like 3 times what they were telling me. I'm like, okay, some of these companies hold back on their discount. Hold some of the discount for the convenience of using their card.
So Carrier
But
One's not holding back on you, is what you're
no,
saying.
not at all. That's my dispatcher told me. He said before you come in, he said we don't hold back and we don't intend to take a part of that. That's all yours.
Yeah.
I,
So
I think
go
I
ahead.
think I think it was 13,000. I said it was the fuel rebate for the whole year, which I thought was pretty good. So
That is really good. So will you tell
apparently
me? Go ahead.
there was a couple other guys that did better than me. Like okay, maybe I'm not doing something right, and they told me those guys like live in their trucks and one of them's a team. And I'm like okay, so apparently I'm doing pretty good then.
You're like, maybe y'all should have like a competition, like end of the
Well,
year, like
I had no ideas. That's kind of what I thought it was. It was like a
yeah,
little chart. It was like, okay, I'm right in the middle. I'm like, okay, is that everybody, or is that just like the top 3 or 4, or what is that?
right,
I didn't know. So, this first company I've been with, I don't ask what other people are doing because as long as
right,
I'm doing what I need to do, I could care less what other people are doing. Really,
right,
so it's none of my
right,
business. As long as I'm doing good. Well, I kind of figure if I'm doing good, then everybody else is doing
right.
should be doing good. So,
That's usually how it goes, spread the love, I guess.
like
I Go ahead.
in any company, I mean, I looked at some of the reviews, before I came here, like Facebook stuff, and guys were saying that it's the worst company ever. I'm like, well, any company you're going to have your reviews where people didn't like it. It's to me, I think it's usually guys that come from the
Hmm.
van division or van background, and they come to flatbed. Flatbed's a lot of work. There's no doubt about it. It's a lot of work. But I look at it as some guys, that's too much work for me, and I'm like, well, I look at it, I'm getting paid to exercise. So you
Yeah.
could, pay
Oh my
$40,
gosh.
$50 a month to exercise, or you could do flatbed, and that's how I look at it. So
That's so true. I know it's like not the same at all, but I used to be a delivery driver, like
hmm
just like DoorDash or whatever. And I tell you what, I was never in better shape than I was when I was. Hopping in and out. I know like your hauls are
yeah,
longer, but like hopping in and out, like running to doors and everything, like I it's a great exercise method and getting
yeah.
paid while doing it, just like you said, like, oh my gosh, it's a great deal. I love my job now, but sometimes I'm like, maybe some exercise during the day would be ideal.
The company I was with before this, it was van, and I was like, the thing for me, the thing I hate about most of hauling van is when you walk in the door, it's like you're in a little cage. You got like 3 foot by 3 foot to check. Most of them that's where you check in. And with flatbed, they don't want you to wander around through the most of it's outside. But like if you go to check in the building, there's usually not like a cage for you to walk in. You can usually walk up to the shipping and receiving office. And to me, that's that's the thing I hated about van the most. Is you walk in the door and you got this little cage. You feel like, to me, it's like, okay, I'm in prison, and I hate it.
You're like, I'm trapped.
Yeah, half the time you never know what's in the van because you back up to the door, you pull up, the 53 feet, shut the doors, and that's it. You don't know if your axle's right or anything. When you're loading a flatbed, you can tell me I need this here or that there, and as long as you get it right, they don't. That's where they put it.
Yeah.
I noticed guys get kind of annoyed. I'll see guys that they move stuff an inch or two this way, an inch or two that way. I'm like, God, it's really not going to make that much difference, So,
yeah.
But if you move it 2 or 3 times, your shippers will get kind of annoyed with you. But if you do it long enough, I pull the same trailer. I own a trailer, so when it's time to load, you tell them to set the load there, and most of them, if you like shingles, like I just hauled shingles, where do you want me to start? And they'll start right here. And when I check in, I always ask lots of questions. Like, how long is the load? Do I need any equipment? What do I need? That way, I'm just trying to make their job easier. Sometimes you get that annoyed look, like, why are you asking all these questions? Like, to make your job easier 10 minutes from now. So So
you're like, I'm just trying to be prepared. Do you not usually get this?
That's exactly it. It's like, okay, if it's you're just trying to be prepared to get the load on the truck. Keep it tied down, so it stays on the truck till it gets where it's going.
Right. Well, I guess I just had one more question for you. I know we've talked about it, touched on it a little bit, but the fuel discounts. We talked about you and the team drivers and whatever, but what is it like? What is it like day to day? You know what I mean? You swipe the card. Like, just tell me like the process for someone who maybe hasn't ever dealt with this, or just explain it 101.
Well, the 3 we use is Loves and TA and Petro, and TA and Petro are TA and Petro are the same family. So if you use it, they have a driver discount card or a driver points card, and so I'll look in the app. Carrier want to give you a code for whatever driver number you are, whatever code it is, and then you just look at the app, and you can do it by destination up at the top. You can start like say I'm going to Mansfield, Ohio. You can, where you're starting from, go to Mansfield, Ohio, and if you do by route, it'll tell you like all the stuff on the way. Right? If you don't want to necessarily use their route, you can use you can pick states and or highways. Like, you can do U.S. highways. Like, say you don't want to run interstate. Like, say you want to run U.S. 41, like I did yesterday. I went down U.S. 41.
Yeah.
And the best one, like I said, when I was coming out of Wisconsin, the best one was in Terre Haute, Indiana. So I stopped there. And to me, every time I get a load, I'll look on the way. What's the best place to get a fuel discount? And then if you need a shower, well, you kind of plan your whole day around your fuel stuff. Because with electronic logs, we kind of have to do that. So
so
when you get there, you put they use EFS. You put your card in the card reader, and if you have a loyalty card, you put that in next. And you just follow the prompts on the screen there. It's trying to think on the spot, trying to think what it is. You put your card in.
It's okay. I know what you mean, because if I tried to explain to you how to get gas right now, I'd be like, I do it every week, and I'm like, yeah, I know exactly what you mean. Awesome.
If you don't want to carry around fuel receipts, the company, I've never had this. Usually you have to get two fuel receipts, and you get one for yourself or for your records and one for the company. You carry one, they do it all electronically, which is really cool. When I did my taxes this year, I didn't have to go through it, because you fuel 3 times a week. That's 150 receipts. you have to go through? Well, you just go through your settlements, which you're doing anyway, and you get the fuel discount right there. And to me, for doing my taxes this year, it was really simple.
Yeah,
You just,
you just
and then and then they pay you by your statements all come through emails. So I just save all those emails and
yeah.
just go through them one by one.
So does your rebate come like weekly, or do you get it like at the end of the year? Like how does it work that way?
It's weekly.
Weekly. Okay.
You pay retail price at the pump, but technically you're not paying for it. It's not like before I came here, it would come out of your check, and then Flying J had it for a while. They would give you a rebate at the end of the week. Like Carrier Ones, you pay the price at the pump, and then when you get your
Yeah.
settlement, that's when the discount comes off.
Okay. Very cool. And
Yeah,
it's great. That's great. Like you said, like if you have a rewards card, man, that's
oh,
really great.
yeah,
Yeah. That's the way to
yes,
do it.
yeah. Like Loves, you can use their card to eat in their restaurant. There's some of them on their app that'll tell you, truck drivers, you usually get about $5 a pop every time. So you
Yeah.
can literally, if you don't eat out a lot, you can eat for free if you wanted to. So
Right. Man, that is a great deal. That's awesome. That's awesome.
yeah, I used to fuel a Speedway a lot when I kind of missed my Speedway points because they would give you if you put money on their card, they would give you like 1,000 points for every $100 you put on the card. Well,
Yeah.
for a while there, when we had kids, that's how we went out to eat. We would use our
Yeah.
Speedway points. But
Right.
it never added up to 12 to 10, 15,000 a year like this does. So
Right. You're like, oh, I can skip on my
I
speedway.
can give up my Speedway points because this discount's way better than anything I ever
Right.
got at Speedway or could accumulate with my Speedway points. So
You're like speedway points,
yeah,
$20,000.
it's like
Yeah.
5,000 or 10,000. I think I'm going with the 10. Is how it
Right.
ended up. So
Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. I'm really happy to hear it. I'm really glad it's going well for you.
yeah,
Um,
yes, I'd love to experience that. For me, with Carrier One, I've noticed I've had two different dispatchers. And I've noticed that the kind of the pattern. If you're just starting out here, they're getting to know you. You're getting to know them. And
yeah.
a lot of guys want to know what they're doing for the whole week. Well, they could book you 3 loads in advance, but if you haven't proven yourself yet, they don't know if you're going to deliver the first one. Because I've heard
Right.
stories. Guys will sign on, they'll get a bunch of advances, they'll leave. And just robbing the company. Well,
Yeah.
once I noticed with both of them, the dispatchers I've had after the second week, if you're at your stop, like today, at the stop first thing in the morning, they'll book you out a load that you can deliver the next, pick up that day. They'll call you. Usually my dispatcher calls me right around between 4 and 5 with my load for the next day.
Yeah.
And
Like
and
you
if you do what you say they're going to do, they'll do what they said they're going to do. So it's
Yeah. Well, if you're good, they treat you good. It's kind of the
right,
simplest way to put it. Like, I
right.
mean,
So
do
so
well,
I'm
you
looking at
get well.
and to me, another experience for me, if you want time off, is because this is like by the week.
Right.
Uh, like if you pick up a load on Monday and it delivers in just say like Maryland or something like that. Well, that's basically a 4-day load before you get back. Well, if you need to be home on Tuesday, you can't be on the way to Maryland with a load. You need to tell it. You need to tell them that, hey, I need this
Right.
day off. And if you tell them that, they would. I have never had a where they say, no, we can't get you home. I give them
Yeah.
a week's notice. I need to be home this day, and they get me home that day.
Which, in my opinion, in my very humble opinion, is how it should be. You know what I mean? Your
Right,
time's valuable. You got to get home for stuff.
right,
And Carrier One, I mean, they have enough freight. You know what I mean? Like they can get you home when you need to get home. So I
right,
mean,
right.
that's a huge benefit.
And another thing this truck it broke down this year for a
Mhm.
couple weeks at a time, and then I thought I had it fixed, and then it broke down again. And other companies I've been with, they're like, "Oh, come on, you know how much you're costing us by not being, by not working?" I'm like, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
I'm not working myself here. And they're
Right.
like, every time it's happened, it's like, well, what do you need from us? And I'm like, and nothing really. Just
Yeah.
I'm assuming they're asking, do you need a hotel? Do you need anything, a tow or anything like that? It's just
Man.
basically just no. I'll get it taken care of, and they've never said it's basically how long are you going to be off. It's never
Right.
you just did you get everything fixed the last time you were in the shop? It's
Yeah.
okay. When are you going to be back at work, and what do you need from us? And that's
They just want you to. They just want to be
like,
prepared. Like they're not trying to guilt trip you. They're just like, all right, well, what's the damage basically? Which that's I mean, and trying to help you out. I mean, that's awesome to hear.
Right. Yeah. I guess that's what I was looking for is the guilt trip. They don't guilt trip you
Yeah.
for breaking down. Yeah, you try to get everything done at once, but it's a vehicle. You're driving 130,000 miles a year, so it's going to break at some point in time.
Yeah. Oh my gosh! If you drove anything that much,
Right.
I mean,
so that's I try to get everything fixed I can, but sometimes it seems like there's that month where you just one after the other. It just happens.
and this isn't a trucking thing, but when one thing goes wrong, just in life in general,
it's
three.
It seems like they come in threes. It seems to be the pattern. So
that's exactly right. So carrier one knows they're like, okay, something bad happens. They're like, we're prepared.
Right, and my guess would be if it came to be like a weekly thing, like okay, like a 1970s truck or something like that. But
yeah, they're
if
like,
it broke
okay.
every week, that would get to be. But I mean, once a month, every 2 months, well, yeah, that's kind of normal. But
yeah, your 1970s truck. They're like, can we interest you in a lease purchase? They're like, maybe you should.
You wonder stuff like that. But I've been here 2 years now, and I think they know that I want to work as much as I can, and the reality is, it's a mechanical vehicle. At some point in time, it's going to break. Yeah, you try to do all the preventive maintenance and all you can, but it's the unexpected stuff that throws you for a loop.
And the roads are rough. The roads are rough out there,
With all the electronics on these trucks, I'm amazed how they stay together with all this bouncing around we do. So
I know it.
Especially all the salt on the road lately. That brine stuff they put on the road.
Yes.
Which nice for keeping the roads from getting slippery, but
yeah, it can erode a hole.
It's murder on trucks because stuff just rusts out. So
I know I've seen photos of trucks, not necessarily like 18-wheelers, but trucks in general, just like after being around salt or salt water or whatever, just like a hole eroded in the bottom of it. You know what I mean? Just like totally empty.
Yep.
So yeah, awesome. Well, thank you so much for talking with me this morning. Again, I appreciate it a lot. I'm glad you're enjoying your time at Carrier One, and I hope that we can talk sometime soon. We can talk about some more stuff.
It's okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Arthur.
Yep. Thank you.
Bye-bye.